Let's get spooky. Hello everyone, today I am here to share with you some of my favorite spooky reads. If you don't know by now, I'm a very seasonal person, as I continue and will always say. So I love doing the same type of videos every year because they're just so seasonal, and my list is somewhat the same but grows every year, so I will leave my previous spooky reads down below. I do want to share with you that these will not include any adult thrillers because I am doing an updated adult thriller favorites video here in a couple weeks, so be on the lookout for that. So it's going to be mostly like YA, maybe some kind of adult books in here. We're just going to see where this list takes us. What I classify as spooky reads are just kind of books that are perfect to read around Halloween time, that give you kind of the heebie-jeebies, that are just generally spooky. Maybe you just get the creeps while reading them and things like that. I also want to say I don't read a lot of horror and like really overly spooky things. So if you want something that's like beginner spooky up to like intermediate spooky, this is a great video for you. If you're looking for like really intense, scary, spooky stuff, sorry, you come to the wrong place. But either way, let me get over this intro and get on with these spooky reads recommendations. The first one I want to recommend, that I always recommend, is Slasher Girls and Monster Boys. This is a short story collection, and it's YA. It's edited by April Genevieve Chicolte, and I love it. It's one of my favorite YA anthologies because of how creepy it is, and the stories are just really good. I have a whole video talking about each story, and even like rate each story and rate like the spookiness of it in case you are like a chicken, much like myself. But either way, I really enjoy it. There are some really creepy stories in there. There's this one like a really twisted Alice in Wonderland tale. Then there's like a Marie Lu one that's really creepy. And there's some that are just not the best. But overall, as a collection, the book is really good and always makes me think of creepy things. I should probably reread it one time in Halloween here soon. But either way, I would highly recommend it because it definitely is very spooky. Next up is an adult sci-fi, and that is Into the Drowning Deep by Myra Grant. I read this year, and it is definitely very creepy, very spooky. This book, we go in the past a little bit because there's this ship that goes on expedition that they also have a film crew because they believe that killer mermaids are real, and they go to see it, and basically none of the crew comes back alive. You get some footage, and so now, years later, the sister of a girl that's gone missing back in the day decides to go on this other expedition to go back and find out what exactly happened to these people, and are killer mermaids real? And that is what the whole book is about. I will tell you, it does have a lot of like ocean jargon because this book talks a lot about, you know, sonic waves, is that the right, sonar Dopplers, you know, it really goes into the detail and science behind ocean and things like that. But this also is very creepy. The whole plot with killer mermaids, there was like a whole chapter in this book that is just really creepy in my opinion. Like I was like, you know, when you're reading, you're just like, oh my gosh, this is really creepy. That is exactly how I felt with this book. So I'd say this is perfect to read around Halloween, maybe even summertime, because it's got that killer mermaid vibes, but it screams Halloween to me because it's like killer mermaids, if you catch my drift. So I would highly recommend this in case you want something sci-fi but with a dose of creepiness and spookiness. This is great for that. Shay Earnshaw writes some great spooky reads in my opinion. These are also fall reads. They're not like overly spooky. I'd say the best time to read her books are in the fall, like Halloween months. Wicked Deep is about these three sisters that were claimed as witches in the 1800s, and they were stones tied to their feet, thrown in the river. Now, years later, for 2 weeks out of the year, these sisters come back and inhabit the bodies of 3 teenage girls and lure teenage boys into the water, into their death, kind of as like vengeance upon it. So this town is called Sparrow. Everyone comes out for these 2 weeks. They love this whole festival and all these witches coming back. I really love it. It's one of my favorite books, honestly. And it's just so atmospheric and such a spooky vibe that I would highly recommend it. Also, Winterwood by Shay Earnshaw just got released, or is going to be released very soon. This one is about like witches again, but kind of in the wood. This girl goes in the woods and finds something. Spoiler warning, I have not yet read this quite yet. I am starting it very soon, but I still want to recommend it because I do think it's going to have very atmospheric writing and very spookiness, because Shay Earnshaw is really good at that. But I highly recommend her books if you just want like a atmospheric, creepy, spooky time with some witches thrown in there. Perfect for that. Moving on to a graphic novel. Unfortunately, I could not get my hands on it at the library. It's checked out. darn, I would love to show it to you because the illustrations of this book alone are just so creepy. So it's a graphic novel, and it has, I want to say, 3 or 4 short stories in this graphic novel, and it's all about these woods. Each story kind of focuses on a different feature of the woods, whether somebody's passing through it or something like that. Either way, it's through the woods, and it is really creepy. There's so much blood in it with like, it's like told almost like in black and red with the tones. That's Halloween already for you, but it's very creepy and I love it. So in case you want a little bit of gore, a little bit of creepiness and spookiness, Through the Woods is a great and short graphic novel to get through that I think you'll love, that I really want to get back from the library to read it again for Halloween because it was just such a good time. It was the illustrations are just stunning as well. Sawkill Girls is a very creepy book. I did not know how creepy it was until I finished it. Sawkill Girls is about a town called Sawkill, and a lot of girls go missing. Nobody knows why. They never found the bodies. They just go missing. And then basically what happens in this book, we follow 3 characters. One girl is a newcomer to this town and hears about this missing girls and is really relevant in her life. We also have another girl that is like the daughter of the sheriff that's trying to figure out where exactly these girls going. And then we have another girl that's in the thicket of it that knows where these girls are going and knows what monstrous thing is happening to them. So this is very creepy. Like it's a contemporary with a dash of like paranormal and kind of like horror-ish. I loved it so much. So atmospheric, perfect to read during the Halloween week. Like I'd recommend you read this the last 2 weeks of Halloween. You will not regret it because it's just so creepy and weird and spooky and all the things. You guys know this is one of my favorite books. I can't recommend it enough. It's about female power. It's about spooky, scary things. I don't want to spoil it for you, but this is great to read for Halloween. On the lighter side of spooky things, we have My Plain Jane by Cynthia Hand, Brody Ashton, and Jodi Meadows. This book is fun because we meet a character named Jane Eyre, you know, the famous book. We also meet Charlotte Bronte, the person who wrote Jane Eyre. Jane Eyre and Charlotte Bronte are at this really kind of crappy school together, like a home for lost girls pretty much. And Jane Eyre can actually see ghosts. She has a ghost best friend and things like that. So that's what this whole book is about. You know, we have this other guy that comes in that knows about ghosts. They try to trap them. It's got the paranormal aspect, which I think makes it a little bit creepy. Is it overly spooky? Not at all. But it's got the ghosts in it, which I think is a great Halloween read for that regard. And it's funny. And I love the satire effect of like talking a book about Jane Eyre and actually having Charlotte Bronte as a character in it, and they can also see ghosts. That's cool too. Throw it all in there. I think it's a great fun book. The audiobooks for these are also awesome to read, so in case you want an audiobook for Halloween, this might be a great one to do that with. So Sadie is my favorite YA thriller. I've read a mixture of YA thrillers and I tend to not really like them, but Sadie I loved. I also recommend for this one as well, if you want to read it, listen to the audiobook. You'll not be disappointed. The audiobook is amazing because this book is like half audiobook, half podcast, because we have this character named Sadie. Sadie's sister was murdered and we don't know exactly who did it, what happened, but Sadie goes on a hunt to try to figure out who the murderer is because she knows. She tries to find them. And basically we have this podcast that is following Sadie. So they're a few steps behind Sadie. So every time Sadie has been somewhere, the podcast will go and try to figure out where Sadie is, what exactly is happening. So I love that because, you know, true crime podcasts are very popular nowadays. I can't say I've listened to a ton of them. I did love Serial season 1, but I know true crime podcasts are like the jam. So this is great for that in case you love the true crime podcast and you want it in a fictional format. This is awesome. I really recommend this one. It's, you know, creepy because you're wondering where Sadie is, who's the murderer, will she find them, and things like that. Highly recommend. The audiobook is stunning. Next up is Strange Grace by Tessa Groton. I do want to say I just started this, so I haven't finished it yet, but it's already given me really creepy, spooky vibes, I think, so it's perfect for Halloween in that regard. So basically we have this village, and every time I think there's a certain moon, when the slaughter moon rises, the village must sacrifice a young man to the depths of the devil's forest because they made a pact with the devil. And so we follow these 3 characters, and they all play a part in this, you know, bargain with the devil, and they find the devil, and they turn out it's not what they expected. That's all I'm going to tell you about it. But either way, it's like witches, devils, things like that, creepy forest. It just sounds amazing. I'm already really enjoying it, so I can't say more about it because I'm still reading it, but it sounds like a perfect, spooky, creepy read for Halloween. Next we have Now Entering Adamsville by Francesca Zappia. This is a YA contemporary with a hint of paranormal. So we have this town called Adamsville, and it's full of ghosts. And we follow a character named Zora who can see these ghosts. Zora's also had a bit of bad bad luck, or her family's always been kind of unloved by this town. There's been a series of fires that Zora's been blamed for, but Zora has really not done, and things like that. We also have a ghost documentary coming into town that wants to record the town because they know it's very popular with ghosts. So basically Zora's trying to prove innocence, that she did not do this crime that everyone's saying she committed, also while dealing with a whole bunch of ghosts and things like that. It's a fun paranormal read. It's not one of my favorites by her, I will say, but it's still perfect for Halloween because it's full of ghosts and a creepy town that's full of ghosts, and there's this fire starting everywhere that nobody knows what exactly is happening, but Zora knows because she can see said ghost. Lastly, another kind of overall vague creepiness, not a ton, is The Babysitters Coven by Kate Williams. So this one is another YA contemporary with a dash of paranormal. So we have a character named Esme, who is a babysitter, and she starts to see things, and her kids that she watches start to see things, and things are starting to go awry. And then we have a new character named Cassandra who comes into town, and her mom has left her a note because her mom has passed away saying find the babysitter. So she finds Esme, they learn together that it might have something paranormal together to do, and then kind of unfolds from there. That's all I want to tell you about it. So it's basically about babysitters, maybe some witches. There you go. That's my synopsis because I don't want to spoil too much for you. It's a fun read. It's not one of my favorites, but it's definitely got the Halloween vibes. The cover alone is everything Halloween. This is pitched as Adventures in Babysitting with Buffy. I wouldn't agree with that, maybe a tiny bit, but it's just a fun read about babysitters that maybe have some paranormal aspects with them. There you have it. So there are all my spooky reads recommendations. I hope you guys enjoyed it, and like I said, these are like, you know, low-key to a little bit spooky, not overly spooky because your girl can't handle stuff like that. I hope you enjoyed my recommendations. If you have any spooky books that you would love to recommend to me that I can handle, let me preface that, please leave them down in the comments below. I would love to hear them. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you in my next video. Bye.